Now, while we're on inflation, you mentioned that people sometimes blame Putin for the oil, or the Ukraine crisis for wheat prices going up. Is that a factor? How has the war affected all of this?
Well, the war can affect certain prices, but not the overall level of prices. So if money supply stays the same and gas prices go up or food prices go up because of individual shortages in those sections of the economy, prices are going to fall someplace else. And it's all a function of individual supply and demand. The only way prices can go up across the board is if the government accommodates that with increase in the supply of money. Now we have more money to pay higher prices for everything. So inflation is always created by government. It's not created by economic growth. It's not created by too many people having jobs. It's not created by greedy businessmen gouging their customers. It's not created by workers demanding raises. None of this nonsense. These are all excuses to try to put the blame of inflation on the public instead of accepting responsibility, which is what politicians never want to do.
So that's really well explained. I've never heard that before, Peter. I like that. Tell me, how much damage was done to the dollar when the U.S. decided that they would pull the dollar privileges from people around the world, kind of on the back of this invasion? Maybe I'm talking mainly about Russians. Is that something that ultimately will also hurt the dollar in the future and hurts the credibility of the dollar?
Well, it hasn't hurt it yet, obviously, because the dollar's gone up. But I do think that, yes, it is another nail in the coffin for the dollar, although we haven't buried it yet. But it certainly sends a message to the rest of the world that you better get off the dollar standard, that you need to divest yourself of dollars. You need to make sure that your economy does not depend on dollar-denominated trade. And so move away from the dollar, because by relying on the dollar and depending on the dollar, you give a lot of power to the United States. You create a weapon that the U.S. can then turn and use against you. So why do the Chinese want to create a weapon for the U.S. to use against China? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, look what we did to Russia. I mean, Russia had already moved a lot of its reserves to gold, and so those reserves, we couldn't touch. But they still had reserves in dollars, and those were frozen. So, what good was that? And so it calls into question the viability of the dollar. It's not really sacrosanct. I mean, the U.S. government could decide if they're going to withdraw your privilege to use the dollar and to utilize a SWIFT system that runs on dollars. They can, yank that privilege away from you if they don't like something that you did. And that doesn't make any sense for a nation to put themselves in that predicament, especially if we're out there claiming they're our enemy. So if we're saying, hey, the Chinese are our enemy, well, why does the enemy, want to be in a position where it holds all these dollars and all these treasuries? They wouldn't. They'd want to get rid of them. And so I think that this will accelerate a process that was going to happen anyway. And I think it just shows you how little American politicians understand the predicament that we're in and how dependent we are on the dollar being the reserve currency. That is what makes our bubble economy function. The only reason we can run these, $1 trillion plus per year trade deficits is because of the dollar's role. We're able to exchange the money we print for the goods everybody else makes. If the dollar is no longer the reserve currency, we can't do that anymore. The only way we'll be able to import goods is if we export goods, which means we have to produce stuff. And producing actual goods that people want to buy is a lot harder than just printing money. And it consumes a lot more resources and maybe even a lot more pollution than just creating numbers out of thin air or digits, on a computer. So it's amazing that the politicians do not appreciate how valuable the dollar's role has been to maintaining our standard of living and how catastrophic it's going to be if we lose that position. And we are making it more likely that we lose that position by the way we've weaponized the dollar and the fact that people now rely on it for global trade.
I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline.
I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up.
If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?